Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to the Hearthmind Conqueror Series number 4. And this is going to be our 3rd and 4th place match tonight. My name is Tim Karasine Harris. I am joined by Bolek Askier Watson and Alex DeBoss of Team Hearthmind. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm doing really good. I really enjoyed the games we've seen so far today.
Awesome, good to hear, guys. I mean, I definitely enjoyed it as well. We had a lot of exciting matchups, and we got some new finalists here tonight. I believe Lemurian's the only one that we've had in our finals previously. So it's going to be interesting to see what the other guys have to offer. Like, I know Darklaw, he's been in our tournaments before, but I believe this is the first time he's made it to the top 4.
Yes, he did go for pretty far in previous tournaments, but never made it to the top 4.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be interesting. And for any of you that haven't watched this before, we are running Conquest format, which is where each player submits 3 different deck lists, and they must win with each deck list to take the series. So from whoever wins, we'll get to see all 3 of their decks, and it's not like the old format where the winner keeps their decks. The winner must change. The loser is not required to change. They have the option to either keep or change the deck that they just played with. So in this first matchup, we're going to have Lemurian with he brought a priest, he brought a rogue, which I think it's safe to assume is going to be oil rogue, because I mean that's about the only viable rogue build we see right now, and then a mage, which could be any number of varieties. There's quite a few that are going around right now, from, like, you know, we have the more control heavy secrets builds that you see once in a while, fatigue builds, mech, and tempo as well. I know Alex is a big fan of fatigue.
I actually have the deck list in front of me, and the Lemurian's decks are a control priest, an oil rogue, and a mech mage.
Okay.
Pretty standard.
Yeah, so it's the fairly standard that you would expect to see, seeing those classes. Nothing really out of the ordinary. And on Alpha's side, he has a druid, a mage as well, and a hunter. So what do you guys think about the comparison between the matchups, looking at the lists that they both brought?
Well, I really like Lemurian in this series because they both have the mech mages, so we can kind of cancel that out. And Alpha has a hunter, even though it's a mid-range hunter, that's still a fairly fast deck, and a druid, which he himself named Fast Druid. Lemurian has a control priest, which should be decent against the whole field, and an oil rogue, which really the only hard counter to that is a control warrior, which Alpha does not have in his lineup tonight.
Yeah, and oil rogue really, it can win against anything. I mean, like you said, it's definitely worst matchup is the sorry, I can't talk here. The control priest, but control warrior. Yeah, the control warrior, but against what Alpha has, I could definitely see oil taking a game from any of them without too much trouble. So I would go with giving Lemurian the edge as well. What do you think, Alex?
I think that the priest is the most important deck in this matchup right here, because it can win against hunter and mech mage if it ends up working, and if it just hits off one of those, which are really great decks, then it's done its job and it's made the impact it needs.
Alex is right. The control priest is going to be the key deck in this series here.
Yeah, I would agree with you there that as long as it takes out one, I think it's going to do its job, because like you were saying earlier, Bull, like the mech mage is a toss-up, and the oil can win as well. So they are jumping into the first game here, and it's going to be priest on Lemurian side versus mage.
Which mage is probably not what he wanted to take out here, even though, I mean, taking out any of the decks is good. But we have to remember that after winning with the priest, that deck will not be available to him anymore.
Yeah, so looking at the starting hand here on Lemurian's side, it's really not bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
I mean, ideally he would probably have liked to have a cleric in there, I would say, to go with the power word shield, but overall, I think he could have done a lot worse. Especially considering no turn 1 play there.
It's not terrible. And he has the coin, so he'll be able to coin out. Well, now it's even better because he got the Injured Blade Master. He'll be able to coin that out turn 2.
But no circle.
No circle, but against a Mech Mage, well, he doesn't know that he's going against a Mech Mage yet, but
Yeah.
against a Mech Mage, you really want to keep the combo, and he's already holding the Arcanized Soul Priest, so it's just that one little piece he's missing.
And
He values draw.
yeah, I was going to say, the Acolyte of Pain is kind of an interesting addition to this priest deck. You don't see that too often. Because, I mean, priest has the draw from the cleric, they have the power word shield that cycles. And
I like the thinking behind it because priest absolutely has to get their card draw or the deck doesn't work.
And also, we have to remember that this is a very fast meta that we're in right now. So the card draw is even more important because you can't afford to wait those few turns. If you wait a few turns, you wait 6 turns against a hunter, you're dead.
Yeah.
yeah, and I like the Frostbolt here from Alpha, because it denies him the ability to do anything to really buff up that Acolyte, like as in like increase its health, or I mean run it into the Scientist, heal it, and just continue to draw cards. So dealing with it in one fell swoop, I think, definitely made sense there.
Oh, absolutely. Even though it is a damage spell, it is something that he will need for burst. Denying the priest card draw is a key to winning this matchup.
Oh, absolutely.
I like all the tech that Lemurian has in his deck that you really don't see out of Control Priest that often. The Recombobulator, that's going to combo really nicely with Shadow Madness. I know that he has the Shrinkmeister in his deck as well, so he can do some fancy stealing here.
Oh, absolutely.
Top deck circle. Oh my gosh, I called it.
Yeah, that is a good top deck. I don't know if he's going to use it right now or going to get greedy and try to get even more value out of it.
It could make sense to Shadow Madness the Mad Scientist so he can't get the secret. But if he holds off on the Circle of Healing, Lotheb is going to come down. He just wants to clear the board.
It is a safe play.
The Mirror Entity isn't that bad because you can give him some pretty crappy stuff.
Well, right now, the only thing that he would maybe want to give away is the Recombobulator, which you really don't want to drop on an empty board. Also, he doesn't know if that is a Mirror Entity or Counterspell, because Counterspell is quite often played even in Mech Mages these days.
I did not know that. I just assumed that every Mage Secret in a tempo-based deck is a Mirror Entity.
Well, it usually is, so people started putting counterspells because everybody assumes it's a Mirror Entity.
Yeah, though in the traditional mech build, you still really don't see counterspell too often. You see it more in like the more like they call it the tempo mage with the flame cannons and mana worms and all those. Like if it's straight up mech, usually it's pretty safe to assume that it's going to be a Mirror Entity.
Which it is in this case.
Yeah. And now we could see the Shadow Madness shenanigans on the next turn, going into turn 6. He has the Madness and the Recombobulator both in hand, so...
He plays 2 copy of Shadow Madness, so he really likes to play around with the steal techniques.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Which I like, because that's very enjoyable. I like to watch that.
Yeah. Looks like he will be Shadow Madnessing this turn. Cabal could also be done, but Shadow Madness would be kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I think Cabal is the better play to go with, though, because I think it gives you a stronger board presence. And Alpha, he's getting lower on cards.
And even though this doesn't matter that much in later turns that we're getting into, it's denying him that quote-unquote coin that he gets from the Mech Warper.
Yeah, and the thing with Mech Mage too is that they tend to run out of gas relatively quickly, so for what this priest really wants to do here, I think, to advance its game plan, is to essentially control the board, slowly build up its board, and he's just going to run Alpha's Mage out of gas is really what he's trying to do. Because you look at his hand, he's not really short on ways to deal with things.
Who else finds it impressive that this priest is on turn 8? They've only lost 2 health. They have board control and card advantage against the Mech Mage.
Yeah.
It is pretty impressive, and it looks like this game is going to be a wrap from the cards that we see.
Yeah. And these Shadow Madnesses are going to be pretty fun.
Yeah, so I'm assuming the first bot goes into Lotheb.
Oh, man.
That was actually a
that's unfortunate.
serious swing, I think, right there.
That was huge.
Because he really doesn't have a way to deal with Dr. Boom this turn.
Yeah, he really has no clean way to deal with it.
And Thought Steal was really not that great because there's not that much good stuff to steal.
In the light's name.
Yeah, and this could
Good steal for Mage.
it could get dangerous here for him, because I mean, between Dr. Boom, the Fireball, and the Frostbolt, he's looking at
That's 16 damage,
yeah,
right?
16 right there. Though I have a feeling he probably will play out one of the Annoyatrons, and unfortunately that will probably get taken with the Cabal. So it kind of buys him more time, if nothing else, to find a way to appropriately deal with Dr. Boom.
But Alpha has to play out the Annoyatron here. I mean, it's the only minions he has. There's really nothing to wait for.
Do you guys like Frostbolting the Light Warden and Fireballing the injured Blade Master?
Not really, because you don't have any spare parts. So even if you pull Antonitis, you really don't have a way to generate those fireballs. So you're really getting rid of your win conditions here.
So you would hold one spell or both spells?
I would definitely deal with the Light Warden. He is
Well,
going
he thinks
Yeah, he's going to use both, it looks like.
he may use Dr. Boom to kill the Light Warden. It looks like he's just gonna ignore the Light Warden.
With two
Which I guess makes
Annoyatrons,
sense.
I think is safe. But I mean,
Yeah, at least for this turn.
Yeah, the Light Warden, though, you can't let it sit around for too long, because they'll get surprisingly big, surprisingly fast.
And they'll probably trade with Dr. Boom.
Yeah, exactly. If you just let them run amok with it, like, they can get so dangerous.
And that's actually not a bad thought steal. Of all the cards to grab that aren't too synergy reliant, Piloted Shredder is a great one.
Yeah,
And the Tankmaster that you got has a synergy with the other one, so it works.
Yep.
So now, here, what do you do as Alpha? I think, I mean, he's got to clear the Annoyatron.
You clear a Noyotron, and I think you want to hit... Okay, apparently I'm wrong. I was gonna say you really wanted to kill the Cabal this turn, and Frostbolt the Light Warden. Or Frostbolt the other one so that you could kill the Cabal. That turn happened too fast for me to calculate it out, but I think killing the Cabal should have been important to him.
Well, he still has that Annoyatron, and both Cabals have been played already.
He's really holding off on using Shadow Madness. They've been sitting in the hand for quite a while. Wonder what he's saving for.
Well, right now there really wasn't that great of a target out there.
Yeah, and also he does run
Yeah.
Shrinkmeister in the deck as well, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
So he might be...
Yeah, looking to steal something a little bit bigger, like a Yeti, for example.
That's a good draw.
Yeah, so now he has his way to deal with Boom, so this is really going to put the pressure on Alpha right now. That he's got to figure out something to do.
He actually runs 2 Shrinkmeisters in the deck.
Wow, 2 identical Thought Steals.
Oh yeah, you don't see that too much.
Oh.
Yeah, so he's just cleaning up the board now, and
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Turn a 4/2 into a random 6-drop.
yeah, because most of the 6-drops that you're gonna get have even better base stats than the Cabal would.
Well, those are some good base stats right there.
Yeah, just for raw stats, a Boulder Fist Ogre, you can't ask for much better.
Well, considering you don't get the Battle Cry anyways, this is one of the better cards you can get out of the Recombobulator.
Yeah, probably the best is Sylvanas.
Yeah, but I think here he'll definitely take an Ogre, for sure.
Yeah, a Frozen Ogre.
Okay,
Shadow
so
Madness finally used.
and he's
Well, he gets to clear the board, and since the mage is top decking, like I said, this game is a wrap.
Yeah, this is over. Unless this is a new type of deck that runs Deathwing, but as we can see from the deck list, it's not, sadly.
I mean, if he would have drawn Antonitis there, he might have had a shot.
He would have had to do it fast.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think he would have had enough mana to kill Lemurian before all the creatures would finish him off, though.
The Sludge Belcher would have stopped the Antonitis from hitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not enough.
Stealthy Ogre.
It's an Ogre Ninja
One.
now, right?
Right. Except it hits what you want it to.
Yeah. Alright, so this looks like it is going to be game 1 to Lemurian, yep. So Alpha just concedes to just move it along for us.
Well, so Control Priest is out of the question, so Lemurian now has an Oil Rogue and a Mech Mage of his own.
Yeah, and now, do you think
Both
Alpha's...
those decks have a pretty good shot against the board, against the whole field.
Oh, absolutely. What do you think Alpha is going to bring out here for his next... Do you think he's going to stick with the Mech Mage?
I think it's... For Lemurian, I think it's Rogue, and for Alpha, I think he's either going to switch Druid or stay with the Mech Mage.
You got one of them right. We see it's going to be Druid from Alpha, and
Okay.
Lemurian is bringing out his Mage, which does look like it's the more tempo-based version because I see the Mana Worm in his opening hand here.
It is a Mech Mage that just plays Mana Worm, Frostbolt, and Unstable Portal. Obviously Frostbolt, but I'm just looking at Mana Worm synergy.
So it seems like it's almost a cross between the two of them, then it sounds like.
It's a later game, more mid-rangey mech
Yeah.
deck.
Has a piloted Sky Golem, it has a Black Knight, Antonitis obviously, and Dr. Boom in it, so it has quite a bit of late game. And Lemurian's hand is looking really good right now. Next turn, he'll have the mech for the synergy.
Yeah, though, if he plays the Blast Mage on the following turn, he's going to be playing off curve then, though. And I mean, depending what's on board, the 4 damage like to this Ancient is really not doing too much, or 4 damage to the face is probably not particularly valuable to him.
With him innovating and coining out of the lore, I agree with this play.
Oh,
He used 1 card to get rid of 3.
yeah, absolutely, and he still has the piloted Shredder for next turn, and that's going to allow him to probably clear the first half of Alpha's
Ooh.
Shredder.
Well, with the Clockwork Gnome, I would go with the Blast Mage here. He decides not to.
I have no time for games.
I like the line of play, though, of not using the Blast Mage there, because a 2-3, you're probably not very likely to kill it. I mean, you would need great RNG at that point. And I think he was holding on to it for a better target.
Finally, spectator mode stopped loading for me, and I actually got into the game for turn 6.
Spectator mode has been buggy for the past few weeks.
Yeah, it has. I actually got frozen up on the first game where I had to exit out and get back in, but you know, all in all though, I'm happy with it. I have to say it's made it so much easier.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great tool. It's just it's weird because it seems more buggy now than it was when it got released at first.
Yeah, and that may be too that, you know, they're trying to improve it. So, you know, every time you try to fix something or add something, you break two other things. It's always
Right.
how it seems to go with anything
Cursor.
computer related, you know.
Yeah. Fix a bug, 3 bugs pop up.
Yeah.
Piloted Sky Golem is one of my favorite cards to play in Mech Mage. I love that card.
It is. It's a very strong card. I just feel like, because there's so many 6 drops to choose from that a lot of people overlook it. Like, you know, because they want to use their 6 slots for Sylvanas. I'm trying to think what the big 6s are. But like, I know Sylvanas is like almost an auto include.
Well, the synergy in the Mech Mage makes this card a lot better than it is for a 6 slot in other decks.
And also, when you're playing a Mech Mage, you need your cards to be great on an open board where your opponent doesn't actually have anything on the board, and Sylvanas doesn't fit that.
Yeah, and also too, it's a more aggressive body at a 6/4, which
Doesn't die to the Game Hunter, but still deals maximum amount of damage you can.
yeah.
Oh wow, and forced Alpha to use a Savage Roar, which he does run too, and we see he has the second one in his hand.
He pulled
And
a
a
wall
Belcher just to clear that.
of all cards to get. That's probably one of the best ones.
I'm assuming you're referring to the Frostbolt there to...
Oh no, the Water Elemental from the...
Oh, from the... Yeah. Water Elemental definitely is one of the best 4-drops in the game, I would say, arguably.
That big Game Hunter that's not gonna do anything for a while. Unless...
Well, Lemurian does run Dr. Boom in that deck, so it might still work.
It's Dr. Kaboom.
Where did we see that? We saw that somewhere.
It was one of our contestants not using the English language. It was some other language that they had their deck list in.
Oh yes, it was Portuguese, yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Kaboom in Portuguese.
So you could just set it up so that you win with a top deck Fireball.
Yeah, it
Well,
is... Alpha's
you know that Druid
getting...
has at least one more heal.
He is getting really dangerously low, I would say, though. Especially considering Lemurian's still at 30 health. So it's not as though he's really even close to combo range. And I mean, next turn he does have Cycle with the Wild Growth, but other than that, his hand is pretty weak right now, I would say.
Pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Does combo kill Lemurian if he doesn't attack the Harrison? Never mind. Question doesn't need to be asked. But I don't think it did.
No, the answer is still no.
Kind of a lot.
Wow, Innervate is not what he needed to find right here.
Unless he gets something really amazing off of the excess mana.
Which I really don't see what it could be.
Well, that is something.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ancient of Lore is probably about one of the best things he could have drawn there, I think.
And he might innervate
Apart
a...
from Cenarius, but that's... Which I'm not even sure he runs Cenarius. Let me check. He does.
Now tell me, what do you think about using Ancient of Lore for cards right here?
Oh, man.
Well, if he was paying attention, he knows that the only card Lemurian has is a spare part.
That's what I'm kind of getting at. That, you know, yeah, you could heal, but it's kind of playing not to lose.
I like cards.
Yeah, I probably would have went with cards there.
Well, this would have been the wrong thing to do.
That top deck would kill you then.
No, you still would have lived through it because he traded
On
the
one
shade.
health.
Okay, so you live on 1 health.
But that's not exactly the most comfortable spot to be
No,
in.
it certainly isn't.
You would have to top deck the second heal or you just die.
Yeah.
Well, that BGH is absolutely terrible in this position. It was a correct play, but had to feel bad.
Yeah, though, I mean, if nothing else, it can trade with the Snow Chugger.
And that's really all it can do.
But he's going to have his face frozen, so he can't even get through the Annoyatron. So that is really...
Ooh, that's a big draw.
At this point, that was the best draw he could get.
Yeah, and I assume you go for taunts. Like, I don't think you really care about buffing your guys as much as you care about having 4 HP worth of taunt. Yep.
Yeah, and with the Savage Roar in hand, that completely changes the face of this game right now.
Wait. Aww.
Well, not Deathwing.
Nope, it's far from Deathwing. It's a really high value card to get off the Unstable Portal if you use Unstable Portal on turn 2, but not turn 10.
Do you Savage Roar just to clear that Ogre with the Zombie Chow? I think you might.
Yeah, I would say just clear it with Cenarius. Because he can clear, yeah, the Chugger.
Then Keeper of the Growth for a minion because you have Savage Roar in hand, or just save it.
He might save it for Antonidas.
Oh, that could make sense.
Because his health's low enough that if Antonidas sticks for even 1 turn, he's essentially dead.
He is holding the 1 Rusty Horn in hopes that he gets it.
Oh. That's a nice card.
If you would have Keeper of the Grove last turn, that would have been lethal, I think.
Well, right now...
Yeah, I think he realized that. But he's still in definitely a controlling position right now.
Do you just use the combo, trade one of them into the Spider Tank, and then just convert the rest of it into damage?
I think I like that play, actually.
He apparently likes Keeper of the Grove.
Well, he's setting up the lethal next turn.
He's not trading the taunt. Alright.
No,
guess
why would he?
that's-
Like I said, he's setting up lethal next turn.
Yeah, Mech Mage doesn't have a way to clear the whole board. You don't
Does have a way to stop the combo, though.
Yeah. I was just thinking, whoa, you're not playing around Flame Strike, because I've been playing way too much Arena today. Well, that is a terrible hand to have against Lothad.
Yeah. And actually, up here, I believe he's still 1 off lethal next turn, right? Yeah, because it would be 18
Well, if he
with
clears,
the
if he
Keeper.
clears it with Cenarius, yes, but clearing it that way, no.
He does have board control, though, which is infinite damage, so he should be fine.
Yeah, and he's
No,
definitely...
it is lethal next turn.
Yep, he's just gonna concede.
Okay, so Alpha's Druid has now won, and so that's out of the pick, so...
So each player has 1 win now.
Yeah, and so we have the 2 Mech Mages still left, and an Oil Rogue and a mid-range Hunter. So, what do you think we're going to see here? I'd like to see the 2 Mages go head-to-head.
I think we are going to see Alpha stick with Mage. Yep,
Yep.
and Lemurian with Mage also.
Well, you got your wish.
Yeah, and
Yep.
in this particular matchup, I think I would give the edge to Alpha. Because Lemurian's, his mage list seems like it's teched a little bit more towards control decks to play against.
It seems teched against Druid to me.
Yeah.
and Alpha runs a pretty much standard mech mage.
Hmm.
The list that we all know and some of us love, some of us hate.
So yeah, here it's. I think that Mad Scientist is actually going to be a fairly big deal in this matchup right now, especially considering Lemurian's a little bit of a heavier curve, and he really doesn't have anything in his hand right now that he wants to throw on the board to give to Alpha. Like, it's not as though he's sitting on another Clockwork Gnome or Cogmaster.
Yeah. He's so afraid of the mirror entity that he doesn't even want to attack it, and that was huge. Him not attacking the Mad Scientist, and Alpha just drew his second mirror entity, so now he doesn't have a secret to draw into with his Mad Scientist.
That is huge. And having the coin and 2 4-drops, it allowed him to play on curve both of those turns.
And now all of a sudden Lemurian's gonna attack the Mad Scientist knowing that 2 mirror entities in the hand.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that telegraphs, too, that you're holding both of your secrets, because in any other circumstance, you would have traded that in yourself just to activate the secret. So that was definitely a good judgment call on Lemurian's part to clear it this turn, I think.
So this is a terrible hand for Alpha.
It is, but his board is amazing.
Yeah.
Of course, a good chunk of it's going to be cleared right now, but...
Doomsayer is all you need. Well, that was a pretty bad bomber. 2 hitting the face when there's 3 minions on board is kind of bad.
And I don't think his hand is the worst, really, because he's going to play one of the mirror entities out of hand here, I think. I don't think he's going to play the Yeti just yet.
I think he will play the Yeti. I was wrong, but it just seems like a body on the board is pretty good.
See, to me, like, I think the mirror entity is the way to go, because you have 2 of them, so you need to get them out of your hand at some point, and it's not as though you can play both of them in a single turn.
Yeah, it makes sense. And Lemurian is holding a lot of cards, so it makes sense that they're big cards that you want.
And it would have been really awkward if he didn't top deck the Cogmaster there.
Yeah, it would have. Mad Scientist, another dead card.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad draw to not get any value off of your Mad Scientist. A 2-2 for 2 is not value.
So now I think the matchup is highly in Lemurian's favor because he has the high curve and card advantage versus Alpha having a low curve deck.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's past turn 5, turn 6, and Alpha's not holding the board in a dominating position, so I really think, like you said, Lemurian has the edge right now.
And we've seen him pull out a amazing 8-8 with an unstable portal already today, so maybe he'll repeat that feat.
Would you call that 8-8 amazing, though? Like, it was great, but it's not exactly the highest quality thing you could get.
For those of you that weren't watching the tournament, I saw for the first time in competitive play, I think. See, now I can't even think of the name of that card. You never see it played.
Nozdormu.
Nozdormu, thank you. That's actually a pretty good pickup if you would be able to use it.
I don't think it's going to be fast enough for him to be able to come back here.
He is at really, really low health. Unstable portal and anti-Q bot?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Portal is probably the first play to see what you pull out of it and go from there.
Yeah. He may be thinking just Mech Warper for the body, but Fireball for sure. You can't just let 4 damage happen to you. And then I would portal here.
I would as well, because the Mech Warper's not going to make that much of a difference.
Alright, well I would have portaled and hoped for something like a Abusive Sergeant on the Mistress of Pain. That would have been pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, even an Annoyotron would have been pretty good there, I think, because it stops some of the damage coming in.
But there's a lot to be said for a 2-3 on the board, whereas Unstable Portal wasn't necessarily something on the board.
Yeah, but
That's an interesting freeze. I would actually freeze the minion that heals.
I would too. So he's gonna portal now. That is not a good card, but it is actually not bad in this situation.
It's not really bad because it's an easy way to clear the Chugga Chugga.
I think it will actually be used this turn.
I think it has to. You're sitting at 7 health. You can't allow the guy to hit you for 2 every turn.
Mm-hmm. So instead of clearing with the Mistress, he doesn't want it to be frozen so he can heal more. So he's gonna hero power instead of playing the piloted Sky Golem. A little slower, but oh, the top deck
yeah,
fire.
that is it for sure right there. Alright,
Wow.
so Alpha is going to take it in the mirror. So that leaves Alpha with only his Hunter left to win with. And he's going up against either Mech Mage or Oil Rogue from Lemurian.
Which the mid-range Hunter is not terrible against either of those.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's a great matchup against either of those either.
No, it's not, but he has 2 chances to win.
You asked for it.
When
Yeah,
I play Rogue, I don't like seeing Hunter, so he might want to set it up so that Hunter ends up facing the Rogue.
yeah. See, me personally, I would say as playing Hunter, I personally would like the Mech Mage matchup a little bit better if you're playing a mid-range build. Because you just have to be smart about how you trade the early board. Because once you get into your larger threats, I think Hunter has just better quality minions. 'Cause
I
you-
agree, but when you see Hunter, you can almost assume that it's going to be a face Hunter because it's more popular these days. So in that case, I agree with picking the Mech Mage and not the Oil Rogue.
The Hunter for Alpha has 4 secrets. It's kind of weird, don't you think? 4 secrets? 2 freezing, 1 explosive, and 1 snake trap.
I guess he's looking to ensure that he always gets something out of the Scientist, that it never loses its value.
Yes.
Because, I mean, I've seen 3 secret versions where they run 2 freezings and a snake, or vice versa. But usually, you don't see the explosive and the freezing together too often anymore.
Yeah.
That was a slight misplay here on the Lemurian side. He assumed that it's not going to be an explosive trap after he saw the web spinner and saw that it's a mid-range deck. But still, if he would have played the spider later, then it would have 4 health. Wouldn't really matter in this case, but he could have saved that 2 health.
So Goblin Blast Mage is going to be played just for the body most likely, but it's not that good right now, obviously.
Yeah, and that
Yeah,
has to
absolutely
hurt.
doing that.
Yeah, sitting, especially against the Hunter, because they run a lot of lower health minions.
I actually really like Knife Juggler Unleash right now. Because you clear Cogmaster with, hopefully, knives. And you have hounds on the board and you deal damage. And the Shredder can attack into the Blast Mage. Nice. He got the knives he needed.
Yeah, and I got
Last up.
kicked out of the game again. Spectator mode apparently hates me today. So... Oh, wow.
Lemurian is really not looking too good because there's nothing that he wants to play, and the next turn isn't really looking that great either. He has the Mech Warper Goblin Blast Mage play, but at this point that's not that great either. It's not saving him.
There's gonna be a Notatron Blast Mage, which shows how desperate he is to not take damage, which isn't a good spot to be in.
Which the Noatron pickup was really good.
It's over. It's over. On curve, Dr. Boom comes to his aid.
Yeah, with Dr. Boom and the High Main on board, yes, pretty much does look like it's over.
Yeah, I don't see any way he's going to be able to answer that.
Well,
Especially...
yes.
Okay, and Lemurian agrees. So Alpha is going to take our third place series.
That was almost so fast that I missed it.
I don't think
Because I got in 2 turns late.
Well, it is a hunter against a mech mage, so you are looking at
Yeah.
2 certainly fast decks. So congratulations to Alpha for third place in our 4th installment of the Conqueror series. And we're going to take a short break, and then we will be right back with the grand final between Dark Claw and Kinslayer.